Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to my channel, IndigoAngel. Come on into this dimension. I hope that you use the portal on the way in the door and come on into this space-time dimension with me as we dive into the topic of discussion today. And the topic of discussion is going to be all about the reptilians, the reptilian types, the qualities of the reptilians, how the reptilians are actually getting into this earthly plane, how they are, the negative types are invading. This doesn't negate from the fact that there are not only negative nefarious reptilians here on this earth, there are also positive reptilians that are here. The reptilians have been here since the beginning. They are the first technical race or species to be on this earth. And so they did seed through the seraphim monadic lineages, and they came down through the Draco systems, the Orion systems, the Regulan systems, the 4-quadrant hybridation societies, the Aquilin systems, the Anunnaki, Nibiru. Not all of them are nefarious. Okay, some of them are just here holding the original organic templates, to be honest with you. Some of them are. Also the Hydra systems, okay, the serpent races, the Nagas. Okay, some of these are also original organic template holders as a reptilian species. Okay, hybridized as guardians. Okay, so we have a lot of different types here on this earth. I do want to focus on more of what the nefarious and the negative types are here doing today. I think it's important and imperative that we do have these discussions, that one knows that there are particular campaigns that are amping up these particular types of genetics, also getting into the grays, getting into the zetas, and talking about what these types are doing here, what type of technologies they have, and also getting into about the hybrid reptilian children and also the forced breeding programs as well. So as some of you may know from my past videos, I am a survivor of the forced breeding programs from this life and from past lives. And so I share that. I've been sharing that more openly with you guys, more of my journey, more of my story within this. I am an advocate that speaks up and out against this stuff, helping women wake up from the core world wounding, helping women regenerate themselves from the original wounding in the Tiamat templating, in the Lemurian grid templating, and assisting people to restore from this place. So I have decided to speak more openly about the forced breeding programs. Now, this stuff is not easy to talk about, you guys. This stuff is at the core of the toxic masculine, the toxic feminine. It's at the core of the Medusa archetypes. It's at the core of the Black Madonna templates and types. Okay, so this stuff requires a gentleness. It does require a delicateness in the way that we open ourselves up to this information. So I'm going to try to dance with that energy too, as I tell you guys more about the things that I'm seeing within this as well. So today I have an official announcement that I want to share with you guys. As you may have seen me beginning to network and make some videos with the Earthstar from YouTube. She's absolutely fabulous. She's absolutely amazing. She is a divine sister of mine, and she holds the original Guardian creation templates, and she is a speaker of this knowledge. And so it's been really easy to get together with her and create this wonderful healing container, 4-day healing container that we're doing with another divine feminine woman whose name is Marguerite Riglioso, who has a PhD in parthenogenesis creation. And so we're putting together 3 facilitators, 4 days, where we have coursework, and then we also have a healing container after the coursework of each day. And it's going to be fabulous, you guys. I highly recommend that you come and join this big event. It is for the divine feminine only, so sorry guys. Right now it's just super imperative that we focus on the healing of the divine feminine, and restoring the Sophianic codes and restoring the original creation templates within us. And the more that the feminine heals, as the midway receiver portals to the divine, it's just going to continue to flower out and heal the rest of the world, basically. And so we are doing this on the weekend of 9/9, 9/10, 9/11, 9/12, as that is kind of an activation day for global world destruction. And so we're planning on sending a big healing wave into the grids, utilizing that time portal to counteract a lot of the more destructive and nefarious energies that are happening here on the earth. So I am starting to lose my voice per usual, so just hang in there with me, guys. I've had a long day. I tried to get to the park to film and walked very, very far, sat down, started trying to film. Then I got attacked by some red ants. And so I didn't see them there. They bit me up pretty good. And they're little boogers because they get underneath the clothes and they bite. And before you know it, you got some hives and some welts all over the place. So I had to bring it back to the house and just come sit in the back because that was most safe for me. But yes, guys, so I'm excited about this healing container, and I just can't wait to share this with everyone, and just continue to help promote my divine sisters with this work. And so you can find the links to that event down in the description. Be sure to sign up, you guys. I hope to see you there. Some other announcements that I also have is that I am restructuring my Patreon right now. I am going to make a separate announcement on Patreon to let you guys know what exactly is going on. But I am having to pull away from doing my one-on-one sessions from my 44 tier. I just don't have the space or the capacity or time to do those anymore. I just want you guys to know that I apologize for that, but it's just not something that I can accommodate anymore. But I am going to be replacing that with something else starting in October. I am going to be starting to teach a grid workers course starting from the intro levels all the way to advanced and facilitator levels. And so once I get that going, that will then become a part of those Patreon benefits. So I hope you guys just hang tight with me while I get some of this restructuring under order. And I will be getting you guys all of the information as soon as I possibly can. Hopefully I can record a video either tonight or tomorrow, kind of explaining some of the changes that are happening on Patreon. And just know that I am going to also continue to do the grid worker sessions, but I'm just going to have to start doing them quarterly versus monthly, as I just don't quite have the intake of energy right now to be able to be facilitating that every single month. I am interested in other facilitators wanting to step up and maybe take a role of facilitation. I could also present and do something like that as well if somebody is interested in that. But I will be in contact with you, Patrons, to get you more information as to where I'm at with that, so you guys are not feeling like you just haven't heard from me for a little while. And you guys haven't really heard from me for a little while since I've come back from Machu Picchu. I've had a lot of shifts going on at this time. Just preparing for this 4-day healing container with you guys and for you guys has been taking up a big chunk of my time and energy. There's been a lot that's been going into all of this, all of the marketing and all of the communication and all of the designing of the PowerPoint presentations and getting all of my designs and stuff available for teaching of the course. So just know that this is my next big thing. So patrons, I do have a special discount code for you guys specifically if you are interested in attending this healing container. So just reach out to me. Info at IndigoAngel222.com and ask for that discount code, and we'll send that to you so that way you can get about 11% off of that. But other than that, guys, I want to talk about some of the current global activations that are happening real quick before we dive into the reptilians. There has been an activation. We've been getting a lot of activations. So on the organic timelines, on the timelines of the future prophecy, everything is still unfolding accordingly. Even though we have these nefarious and artificial timelines that are playing out, we still have the evolution of the organic systems. And so right now I've been seeing a huge expansion of sexual nodal points in the earth that are being activated at this time, mostly in the southern regions of the earthly plane. So everything southern hemisphere. We've been having sexual nodal points, which are simply just nodal points with much more heightened magnetic energy. And I do feel like this is the Earth's way of almost making up for the degradation of the magnetic field grids across nations, across the 33rd parallel. And so some of these other points are being hypercharged with that energy for reparation and rehabilitation. Another thing that I've been seeing that's going on is we're actually getting new stargates on the Earth. Okay, so new locations. Other ancient sites over the next 100 years that these stargates are going to be activating. And these gate systems have already been energetically encoded and chosen for anchoring galactic seed codes here, for upholding the ancient future timelines during prophecy transformation timelines. Okay, places such as Sagira in Sri Lanka, called the Lion's Rock, the Lion City. It's one of the 8 wonders of the world. So a lot of these 8 wonders of the world are going to be taking, I don't want to say taking over, but some of the old universal ones are actually collapsing and closing down because they're just not holding integrity in their structures, particularly ones in the Iran systems, in the Iraq gate systems, some in the UK, some in China. They're just not holding the pure diamond or crystalline encoding anymore. The auric field has actually subsided. And so, and again, it's from infiltration and warping of the magnetic field, okay, and all of the stuff that the negative intruder agendas are doing. But regardless of that, we're getting new stargates. So again, one of them is Sagira in Sri Lanka. This one I've been seeing is bringing through Orphan Emerald Order Blu-ray activations, which is almost like a merge between the cosmic Blu-ray Risha codes merged with the fire of the Divine Mother's heart merged together. And they're creating the templating for the cosmic Christos realignment. We also have energy networks from these new gate systems that are running very extensively to power from Canada ley lines. I've seen a lot of connections to Canada where it's powering the wings of the flank of the Dove grid, releasing more of the planetary J-seal manipulation and hold off the planetary field. And it's also regenerating the land and the original Earth spirits in these places. They're also opening up these stargates more because they are powering the new Lemurian grid templating for clearing and for world wounding clearing of those templating in the ancient Tiamat grids as well. So more of this is clearing from within the geometric templates that are forming blockages within the energetic fabric itself. And that's coming in through the new Stargate locations. Another new Stargate location that I keep seeing is the Church of St. George in Lalibela, Ethiopia. So this was, now this is a man-made one, but the man-made gate sites can hold universal encodings. Particular ones can, such as like the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. This is one of those that is like that. This one was actually supposed to be the original relocation of Jerusalem. And it's said to hold passageways into earthly Jerusalem, so and also heavenly Jerusalem. So it's a bifurcation portal passageway. And that's what's making it a Stargate, is because it actually is containing some of the diamond structure and also some of the auric components that make it living and make it holding creation templating. So it's also considered a restored Ark of the Covenant portal passage. Orion and Nibiru Celestial Passageway. You guys have seen this one. This is the church. It's in the shape of the cross that was found deep under the ground. This is also considered another eighth wonder of the world. So, again, these sites are starting to hold more of the original Stargate mechanics. And because of that, they will start to be recognized over the next 100 years more as energetic gate systems. Another one that's coming up is the Stargate, which is the Great Wall of China. So this is also another man-made one, but there's a reason, because it is holding meteorites impact site energy. It's also considered the head of the dragon. So metaphysically, symbolically, it does kind of represent a homecoming of that Sophianic dragon grid, the original creation gridding, all about cosmic protection. Okay, fierce cosmic protection. So this is considered a guardian point in China that holds the original cosmic angelic encoding. So that's kind of just one thing that I'm seeing in terms of grid updates, is that we're just getting new Stargates. Now, there is a whole bunch more of these. I just don't have all of them listed to talk about today, but it is an aspect of things that I think will be continuing to generate and become more available to us as more information continues to come forward. Okay, guys, so getting back into the topic of discussion today. I want to talk about the reptilians and the forced breeding programs and what I'm currently seeing within this right now. I've been noticing that the reptilians are getting more aggressive on Earth at this time. They have been more agitated. Okay, so there's been more outbursts of aggression. There's been more outbursts of domination and control. Okay, more manipulation, more manipulative type behavior. Now, this is all playing out in the artificial timelines. This is all playing out in the 3D and the 4D artificial realms, the shadow realms, okay, the realms that are plugged into the Metatronic systems. Okay, this is where they have to play this stuff out, because energetically it's the only space on the earth that in which it can exist. And so all of this is being released in the collective right now. A lot of reptilians are being activated to their gene identity calling. I have noticed that reptilian genes are getting turned on more in people. Someone that you thought maybe didn't hold reptilian encoding, there's been kind of like a radial mutation, or even just even an embodiment, okay? Because there's lots of different ways that this can take form or shape. Sometimes they can be switched on due to gene triggering and gene splicing, or it's something that can also be done, and the human avatar can be being used as a container for the reptilian. One thing I've been seeing is this more in hybrid reptilian children. I've been seeing that it has something to do with puberty and hormones. They do seem to amplify that which a hybrid child is ultimately going to go, whether they're going to go to the signals of the reptilian brain, or if they're going to go and restore their pure angelic codes. Okay, so the hormones are key indicators in this. And this also may be another reason why they're modifying it according to the transhumanist, transgender agendas with puberty blockers and hormone tampering, is because this actually would keep somebody locked and confused in that state of that original template, but still be a prisoner to their own sexuality, gender distortion. So that way the reptilians can then, feed off of those types, continue to feed off of them. So there are campaigns within that, but I'm not going to go into that. What's happening though is there's like a signal or a beacon that's getting sent out to other reptilians in their bloodline. And so there is this reptilian gene conquer urge where they want to come in and they want to conquer the soul aspect. See, the thing about a reptilian is that they are a prisoner to their own consciousness. And so there is a lot of very dense consciousness around allowing that to be taken over by the reptilian gene. I'm going to talk more about that. It's very extensive. It's very extensive. There's a lot of soul entrapment that goes in with reptilian takeovers. But essentially, there are ways in which the reptilians are getting in. And one of the most primary ways that they're getting in is through the forced breeding programs, and it's through the cross breeding programs. So one is essentially using Earth human females more abruptly for force, coercion, manipulation, amnesia, cloning, abduction of their wombs, you know, studying breeder harnesses, whatever it is for the breeding. Crossbreeding is more like using like in vitro test tubes, artificial wombs, creation hacking, and fracking. Both are via sexual and harvesting of sexual energy, though either way. Somebody who talks about the crossbreeding programs and the forced breeding programs besides Lisa Renee and Asha and Nadine that has very advocately spoke up about it also is David Icke. So if you get the book, The Biggest Secrets, he has spoken about this a lot and gives a lot of detailed descriptions about what they're doing with the crossbreeding with the in vitro and the test tubes and stuff like this. Survivors of this are women who have consciously become aware of the siphoning and the manipulation of their fertility, of their sexuality, of their reproduction, of their creation energies, of their offspring. They were basically forced to mate and breed with reptilians versus fifth dimensional soulmates. Okay, so they themselves have reptilian hybrid children. Okay, they have 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of thing. A lot of these women didn't really have a fighting chance to bring in offspring of the original angelic soul templating versus more reptilians, because the clear indicators of this are having had your offspring prior to your awakening. So if you were unawakened when you had your children and you didn't have your children with your fifth dimensional soulmate, soul union, twin ties, twin, you know, trinity flame, ultimately, you would have brought in more reptilian children. Especially if you're a woman that questions if that person is karmic or not. Okay, if you've had children with someone that you know is karmic, odds are you've had a reptilian child. So it's really about women not having the knowledge or not having the awareness of the breeding programs and how they work against your better knowing. They work against your naivety, your innocence, and your social grooming of what sexuality looks like here on this earth, also through the Templar systems. The Templar systems were forced breeding programs, okay? That's what some of these marriage unions were that weren't of the sacred highest divine union, that weren't of the sacred Christos Sophia's union. A lot of these were forced breeding programs to bring in more reptilian children. It's really about just the inability to mate with your 5D soul union or bring children in through parthenogenesis creation, which is bringing children in without karma. So when this happens, means a lot of difficulties can arise. It means that it can be impeding upon their motherhood in this life, attacks on their motherhood in this life, a lot of drama around their motherhood in this life. It may not always just be that the mate, the reptilian mate attacks, but also their family attacks. A lot of this wraps up in the legal systems, the court systems. The reptilians want to bring mothers into the court systems of reptilians so that way they can side with the reptilians and they can ultimately try to extract the influence of that original angelic mother on the reptilian child. So there's a lot of wars over your children. A lot of survivors of the forced breeding programs have lost their children. A lot of survivors of the forced breeding programs have been coerced into abduction, coerced into abortions, coerced into giving up their children, losing their children, having their children taken. It's warfare over their children because they are hybridized half reptilian. Okay, and so there's a lot of stuff that is very devastating that runs through with these programs. And it really just rips and tears up a lot of the core motherhood hooks and wounds that run extensively, like I said, back to that Tiamat organic templating. And so this seems to be amping up a lot at this time. A lot of the R complex expressions, which is the reptilian brain expression campaigns, are kicking off more as there is this warfare within the family dynamics. And the reptilians, that we don't talk about this reptilian warfare within family dynamics, and how it shreds and tears apart families to pieces, because of this service to self, because of this aggression, because of this seek and destroy, conquer mentalities that exist within the forest breeder programs. That it's not just the acts of the original forest breeder timelines, which were originally the Ioni massacres that were spoken about in the Voyagers books, the Nephilim, where the sons of God came and mated with the women of the earth, the women of man, or whatever they want to call it, right? Where they came in and the Nephilims basically, I mean, that's why there's a giant Nephilim grid underneath Stonehenge, is because women were ritualized at Stonehenge. Okay, so as much as Stonehenge is this beautiful alignment on the winter solstice and the summer solstice, back in the day, back when the Nephilim were coming through and they were taking women for their forced breeder programs, they were ritualizing and sacrificing females at Stonehenge. Okay, this is a part of the reptilian mindset. They ritualize the feminine. They ritualize the acts of making this an unconscious disassociation, so that way it is accepted through the PDSs and the patriarchy brainwashing that has happened upon the men and the women since the beginning of time. They have been studying the Irish women out through forced breeding programs. They have been studying African women out, West African women out through the forced breeding programs. The entire Atlantic slave trade, intergalactic Atlantic slave trade, was fundamentally founded off of the forced breeding programs. Okay, slavery programs were founded off of forced breeding programs to make more slaves, to make more reptilians. Okay, so this is a very extensive history, and this does continue to go on to this day. It's just that the disillusion of it has integrated itself into society in all kinds of ways that we cannot recognize when and where those programs are still running. I feel like this has a lot to do with the reactivation of CERN at this time. Again, I'm quoting and referring to a lot of David Icke's work because I just love to death that he is a divine masculine that has spoken up about the forced breeding programs. And because of that, I can get behind what he's saying on that topic specifically, because he does shed some light on the situation. And he has stated several times that many reptilians, they come up from the underneath the ground. Okay, the negative agenda reptilians come up from underneath the ground. They come through underground military bases. Okay, some of the good ones do come up underneath the ground as well through subterranean portals, but they're organic portals. Again, I just listed at the beginning of this video some of the more organic reptilian races that do coexist here peacefully, that are not fully service to self, and are existing within human containers. And but this reptilian lineage and line, it goes through the military, it goes through the royalty, it goes through the monarchy, it goes through the celebrity, it goes through the political types families, it goes through groups. Some are full-blooded reptilians, some are hybridized reptilians, some are hybridized reptilian insectoid. Okay, and they also the hybrid reptilian insectoids, they are the Zetas. Okay, these are some of our Germanic types. A lot of the Nazis, most of the Nazis were Zetas, to be honest with you. They were a reptilian insectoid hybrid type. And I'm seeing psychically and telepathically that many of them were being released from my lab programs. I've been seeing these giant facilities where they are utilizing these facilities for abductions, The Greys are coming through. They're doing all kinds of cloning programs right now, abducting, cloning processes. This is much more extensive than anyone even really realizes. I think I've been seeing that they've been abducting people consistently. Okay, you might even be being abducted right now at this point in time. Okay, check your astral field. Go up there and look around and see if you don't have some hologram of you inside of a MyLab facility somewhere where they are not tinkering in your chest, putting implants in there, because that's what they go for. They go for the chest, they go for the brain. Okay, I'm telling you guys this because I've been seeing a lot of Greys coming through at this time, and they are very active in these processes with the reptilians. I've been seeing cloning centers like you can't even imagine, thousands of cloning centers all around. Okay, people do not realize how extensive this is. They're cloning everyone. Okay, they're cloning everyone. Nobody even realizes it because the Greys are the ones that actually have the technology to do this. The reptilians don't. The reptilians don't have the technology to clone and abduct the same way that the Greys do. The Greys have abduction technologies. They don't even need to have your physical body. They can come into your field. They can take a holographic form of your body. They can take it to a cloning facility, a MyLab facility, obtain it, implant it, abduct it, clone you when you don't even realize it. Okay, you might just, all you might realize or feel is less memory. So you feel your memory being stripped, you feel your identity being stripped, you feel parts of you that are leaving. What they're doing is they are taking what you have already evolved. So they come in and take it. The Greys are more advanced than the reptilians, so they mess with this particular type of technology. Okay, and it's the Greys who are at the forefront of AI. It's the Greys who are at the forefront of cell towers in your hands, and they're the subgroups that are hiding under the radars in the form of the reptilians. So when we talk about the reptilians, oh yeah, they're doing all kinds of nefarious stuff here, but it's the Greys that are the ones that are really doing the most human manipulation and experimentation. The GF is trying to normalize this. Okay, don't look at me because I'm talking about it. I'm bringing this information forward so that way, you know, you guys can understand what's going on. And I'm going to give some tips of how to protect your field and your energy at the end of this video, but it's the Galactic Federation that's trying to normalize this stuff. They are the ones that are promoting Greys through supposed ascension programs, talking about the Greys rehabilitating their codes, talking about the Greys going through bioregenesis. It's actually not the case. Okay. If you have a Grey come into your field and they tell you that they are getting their ascension codes up, that they're now rehabilitated, I want to say be very leery of that person and who's talking to you, because the Greys solely work with AI and the advancement of it. They solely work with like I said, cloning and abduction. That's been the main thing that they're doing. So just be very wary and very leery of anybody that might be telling you that, especially if you hear the GF stamped next to that or with that. I think that the reptilians are helping other reptilians come through the space and rips times and the space-time continuums. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, that's why I think they're working with CERN, is they are ripping open the black holes in the nuclear test sites, nuclear cataclysm land memory, areas where they're doing nuclear research, and they're making CERN a prime target for letting in reptilians. And I think that's why we've seen an influx of reptilians, the negative reptilians, since CERN has been turned on. David Icke talks about this. Here I am discovering it. Okay, I'm like a spiritual detective. I'm discovering this by going to the Georgia Guidestones. And then I come and look in David Icke's book, and he's already talked about the reptilians using the nuclear test sites to pull their kind through into this dimension. Okay, into the prison parts of the 3D and the 4D artificial timelines. I realized this by going to the Georgia Guidestones. I went there and I seen that they had a nuclear radiation pool at the bottom of the Georgia Guidestones, and that they were essentially utilizing that as a rip in the space-time continuum to enter in and bring. So what I think they did by blowing the Georgia Guidestones up is they just opened up that wormhole a lot bigger. So what I think is existing now there at the Georgia Guidestones is a gigantic black hole that reptilians are coming in to the United States from. I think they're also coming in through, when I did the remote view on CERN, they're also coming in through the particle acceleration locations where they have thousands of pinpoint wormholes. And they're basically using the particle accelerating crashing sites to bring reptilians in through those pinpoint wormholes. Okay, so they're working upon the degradation of the land. They're using this in their technologies of the beast machines and the trons to bring forth a reptilian invasion. Okay. Mark my words right now, you guys. We are going to be seeing an influx of reptilians over the next till 2024. And that's not a good thing for original angelic human templating. Reptilians eat us. We are food to them. Okay. Like I said, they've been using predominantly over the last 12,000 years the forest breeding programs to come in. Okay. Not only through the bigger campaigns of that, but also through just they have more extensive systems now. Now they just tag women of particular bloodlines. They tag them coming in and mark them for these reproductive energies, and then they make sure to snag them before their ascension markers. Okay, so that way they get locked into raising reptilian hybrid children. Okay, and then they try to dispose of the breeder female. Once the reptilian children come up of a certain age, they will try to dispose of the mother. Okay, that's another thing that's going on. Very sensitive topic, hard to talk about, but it's something that is going on and that is happening globally. Okay, many, many, many women share this burden, share this story. Okay, it might not be every woman's story, but it is happening to a lot of divine feminine. The majority of the single mother collective, which is the majority of the mothers on the earth. The majority of mothers on the earth are single mothers. We forget that. And they do it, and then they do it through the moon chains, the breeder lines. They do it through the Mary Magdalene, the Isis bloodlines. Now, when they come in, the reptilians are essentially, like I said, they're trapped in the third and the fourth dimensional fields by their own consciousness. They are in a conscious prison of themselves. They want humanity essentially to live in a smaller prison than them. So they basically do everything they can to create those frequency fences and those attacks to make sure that that is ensued upon humanity. But reptilians themselves are trapped in their own consciousness. So they essentially are like in a jail cell in their incarnation, in their own consciousness. They have a lot of their own karma to undo. And a lot of them are unable to evolve into the higher ascension and Christos realignment missions, 144 missions, guardian rescue missions. So these are the ones that will be incarnating for hundreds and hundreds of years while they try to get those ascension codes back up. Now, what makes this so hard for original angelic females carrying the original templating to birth reptilian children is that they have to watch their offspring take on the karma of the reptilian, so they can actually see the part of them that is still the original soul, but they're watching that being battle the karma of the reptilian. And then they'll notice as they get older and they come, like I said, into puberty, and those markers kick up, that the reptilian gene starts to then dominate and consume the original angelic templating. So constantly soul entrapping themselves within their own body. Okay, this is what makes this so difficult to watch happen and play out, is because you watch them begin to actually devour themselves. Overall, the reptilian idea is to keep everyone in a state of fear. Constant wars, constant conflicts, constant dissatisfaction, constant dramas. Reptilians love dramas. They live for difficulty. They are all about aggressive behavior, territorial ritualism, and establishment of social hierarchies. Okay, and how they do this is through their reptilian qualities. So a couple of the main qualities that are clear main indicators of strong hybrid dominance of reptilian that are embodied inside of what appears to be human. Many galactic races just using humans as containers. Okay, it's not just the reptilians, like again, grays, zetas, they're just grays and zetas can just kind of really come in and out as they want or as needed. Okay, they are so fluid in their technology for this. They can bust through shields. They can bust through interactions, portals. They can come through all kinds of different ways. They have so much technology to do this. Reptilians, it's a little bit different for them to come in. It's not as easy for them to go inside human containers. They usually come through addictions. They usually come through that person consciously suppressing their spirit, usually through alcohol and things like this. That's how reptilians usually come through. They wait and pray for that person to weaken their own shields, and then they go in. But essentially, they've created enough reptilian faction lines that they no longer need to actually force those forced breeder programs all the time. Again, they're using those other technologies where they're just implanting and tagging the feminine now in modern times. But the forced breeding programs still are happening on Earth, in other places of the world, just not in the modern areas as much. Maybe more so through like child trafficking and things like this. One way to tell if you're dealing with a reptilian is just the level of aggression. Reptilians force their wants, their demands, their needs on you through intimidation, bullying, what appears to be controlled anger. They don't ask you, they tell you. They will antagonize you relentlessly. They will outlast you in any war. Okay, they have much more stamina, much more telepathy that they use as a weapon. And they don't reason or compromise. Okay, so if you're dealing with a very aggressive, stubborn reptilian, they will do all of this with the intention to inflict damage upon you, similarly to a narcissist. Okay, they are actually holding the narcissistic templating and tags themselves, and they got this through the Atlantean seedings, through the Meldex systems, through the war planets, through Mars, which was one of the planetoids that they used to seed through the other systems that they came through. They can sense the weaknesses in your field, and they will aim their attack directly into, continue to break you until you have to go into either a rescue mission, or you have to essentially, you know, completely like walk away from that person, that situation, and survive, right? Lower level raptor reptilians will show this level of aggression as the reptilian development happens, though, and they gain more of consumption of their own hybridization. So as that hybridization starts to take over anything that was pure, they will essentially become predatories. They'll become predatorial. They'll become solely predatorial. Solely service to self will be their primary function. No remorse, no regret. These are the types that can murder without feeling any sort of compassion. And then they will also shapeshift to gain that leverage over you. So they do this by creating frequency personalities. So they actually don't even have to change their physical form. They will actually create a frequency personality with matching frequency intentions of deception and illusion to each person. So the outer appearance may shift for some who are observing the reptilian, but for some, it's simply just the energy body that they read that is different. And reptilians know how to do that. So let's say I'm sitting next to a reptilian right now, and the person next to them is just an original human, okay, the reptilian will hold like a frequency where that person's seeing a completely different personality identity on this side, okay, and then I'm seeing this one, and they'll simultaneously play those two different. So this person actually, and they do this consciously to distort the other person's reality, especially if you are the prize, the primary food source. Okay, they will use all gifts and illusions to basically ship-shape intuitively into the frequency that best distorts their perception of them to that person, making them in control of the interaction at all times, manipulating the false conception of who they actually are. There is always a mask when it comes to a reptilian, and you have to be able to take them off to find that there. Okay, they will not show you right away how aggressive and dangerous they actually are, because they choose to play their cards to see what they can get from you until you can no longer serve them in that way. And they do this simultaneously while being present in the same room to the same people they're shape-shifting to. Okay, so it's by word, it's by conversation, interaction by each person, which means they are showing a completely different identity to each person. So you really never know who you're dealing with. This can leave you feeling like you are insane. This can leave you feeling like you are alone, like others are making you out to be like you're the crazy person, like feeling like no one understands or knows what you're talking about. This will often leave you questioning your own reality. So because of you questioning, like the second that you start questioning that, you already know something's wrong. Okay. The second that you have any self-doubt, you already know that you're dealing with a narcissist, a Maldekian, an Atlantean, a reptilian, okay, of the negative agendas. Okay, because even the good reptilians, the ones that have been subterranean for over 12,000 years, that are of the seraphim soul monadic structures, along with the Nagas, they don't carry that. Okay, a lot of those are the positive type that are not going to, there will be respect and there will be honor and there will be integrity in the interactions. The aggressive negative reptilians, they just essentially do whatever they can to dominate and control. That's the soul agenda, service to self, soul agenda. Now, the physical traits of the reptilians. So there are some key indicators here with this. One of them is that their skulls and their bones are literally thicker, heavier bone density mass. They will appear to have a thicker skin. They take longer to be affected by age and gravity. Some reptilians on this planet have scales for skins. So they can often have like a lot of skin, what appears like skin rashing or skin disorders. And it's really because their scales are trying to flush into the actual skin of the body. They and sometimes you can see this, just like it will like flicker in and out of their face. You can actually see the reptilian come in and then they'll go back to being, looking like a normal human. That can happen a lot. They come in different colors, so they can be black, they can be brownish green, they can be green. I have seen new AI Draco reptilian hybrids that have been red scaled. And so there is also new fleets that are coming through the MyLab programs and the cloning programs and all of this stuff, where they are bringing in new forms of the red AI reptilians. Overall, reptilians are cold-blooded. So because they are cold-blooded, they are drawn to feed on light in what is perceived as warmth. So someone who's carrying the original angelic template will carry warmth. And it's actually not even so much the light that I think they tune into. It's more of that warmth that they are attracted to aggressively dominate, control, feed, conquer, divide, and consume, basically. Reptilians are meat eaters also. Okay, so they like meat, they like blood. Okay, this is for good and for the negative reptilians. Okay, so good reptilians also eat meat as well. It's a carnivorous thing. They're carnivores. Okay. And someone can say that they're going to be a vegetarian and do that for a little while, but it doesn't mean that the reptilian has gone out of them. Okay. It just means that they chose to have enough self-control over that for some time being. True original angelic beings would be like a vegetarian for their whole life. Okay. Or maybe even after their awakening, because they get their ascension codes, they go through reconstruction, and so they're able to embrace their true vegetarian state. Um, I eat meat myself because I consider myself to be a Naga. So I do eat meat, but you know, it's to each their own, right? Like I- we're all hybrids here. At the end of the day, we are all hybrids here. So it's just like who wants to embrace that, who doesn't, right? Now, the reptilians are not the only ones that have been involved in the forced breeding programs. There's also the Zeta forced breeding programs. Um, the Zetas hybrids are crossbreeds between reptilian insectoid and original angelic human genetics. Their forced breeding programs were most predominant in the second cataclysm of Atlantis. These hybrids are most interested in domination and control within the youth of humanity, and they have an insatiable desire to be controlling and conquering of the future timelines. They really came and conquered during the breeding programs in World War I, and they also were a huge part of the breeding programs in Germany, where they had breeding houses where they would actually bring in pure blood Nazis, and they would go in and they would, breed them with breeder women to produce more of these pure blood Zeta lines, and also reptilian lines as well, Draco lines as well. During World War II. So that was a huge part of the Zeta programs. I think the most difficult thing about this is the breeder mother, because again, what's happening is these women are being ran through the forced breeding programs prior to their awakening. They are then being left to raise those hybrid dominant reptilian children. And then they are also having that reconfirmed during the school age of those children, where reptilians are strategically weeded out through social grooming experiments, reptilian grooming experience that kicks in during the puberty time. So that way, reptilians typically pack together and make sure that other reptilians be reptilians. And so the mothers are left to fight for the soul of that child. And it's very difficult for the divine feminine. And especially if other family reptilian members that have higher reptilian genetics come in and also try to destroy the mother as well. This is happening on a lot of levels, you guys. You would be so surprised how many women are dealing with this. Again, it's a fight over soul entrapment is what reptilian agenda is, to entrap the original angelic soul in the reptilian body and consume that as food. So they will actually feed off of their own angelic templating within them. It's a very, very, very hard thing to watch happen. It's really important that mothers of these breeding programs do not give up on the hybrid reptilian children if they see that that child is still fighting for their soul. I can tell you that. Okay, if they can see that that child has not given in to the overtaking of the reptilian gene within them, then the mother should fight until the end with that child. Okay, if the child is giving into the reptilian genetics, then the mother has to start to back away and let that child go fulfill that karmic inheritance. Okay, and still be a supporter role, but also allow them to take that on. It oftentimes that they can be saved through a rescue mission, but a lot of times they won't necessarily unless they have a very soul reckoning awakening. Some of them can be recovered. But the majority of them won't be recovered, and they will go in and they will have most likely many, many lifetimes of reptilian karmic pain and suffering until they can transcend those genetics. So how to protect yourself right now. Okay, how to maintain your shields, how to maintain your sovereignty when you are tied through blood ties to dominant reptilians, how to heal once you waken up to the fact that these reptilians have invaded your reality in such intense ways. I think one of the main things is to take care of yourself, first and foremost. Take care of your own energy. Take care of your own health. Take care of your own spiritual immune system. Your physical immune system is equivalent to your spiritual immune system. So if you're not taking care of the body, your spiritual immune system is going to be weaker. So that's kind of first and foremost is you need to make sure you have strong shields. You need to make sure you have your health. Your health is the number one thing when combating reptilians, zetas, grays, infiltration, all of this stuff. Reptilian hybrid children, forced breeding programs. You have to have your health first and foremost. Then it comes down to any and everything you do on a soul level to strengthen your shields and strengthen your spiritual armor within you. Okay, so holding your ground, creating boundaries, recognizing entities, and being able to collapse and dissolve those within if they do attach or leach into your field, clearing your universal tree of life, constantly clearing your universal tree of life. This is a priority when dealing with these types. There are particular types of crystals that reptilians, I think, are repelled by. I know some of the like aqua aura, anything with a rainbow metallic, even frequency to it can shield and protect from reptilians. It's really about you commanding your field and being very masterful within your field. If you see Inception, you want to return to rightful owner, and you want to command and release any soul fragmentations that may be holding on to you. So it's a constant daily practice to actually shield and protect yourself from infiltration. You have to understand Earth right now is it's a zoo. It is a conundrum of multiple types of hybridizations within this. And we are constantly in contact with reptilians. Okay. Again, like I said, negative and positive agenda reptilians, but essentially it's up to us to hold our composure, hold our ground, stop drinking alcohol. Okay, alcohol is what allows reptilians to possess you. If you're drinking alcohol at all, you are making yourself susceptible to that, period. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on all of this. I'm gonna dive into this more. I just was rambling a lot today with this, but I wanted to get something out to you guys. I felt like I needed to talk about this. I think it's really, really important that we start bringing more awareness around what the mothers are going through that have been survivors of the forced breeding programs, continue to support ourselves in all of this. So thank you so much, guys. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening today, and I'll be back with another video. Take care.